This is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode I'm going to show you guys actually how I make the ultimate ginger turmeric shot. Right? I'm using ginger, turmeric, ginseng grown in Wisconsin fresh, as well as Meyer lemon that I literally just picked from my tree, as well as rosemary that I just harvested from my garden. And the way we're going to do this is actually we're not even going to use a juicer. And for those of you guys that know me, is that I have never promoted making juice in a traditional blender that blends with the oxygen. This can significantly lower some of the especially antioxidants in there, as proven by science, as well as make the flavor taste worse and even more kind of bitter, because as the nutrients oxidize, they start to taste bad, in my personal opinion. Now, I'm not just saying this, I have some science to back me up. There's a published scientific journal study. I'll put the link down below. It says effects of extraction methods on antioxidant properties of carrot, apple, and blueberry juices. And the main summary of the abstract, last sentence says, the results of this study showed the vacuum blending method had outstanding antioxidant nutrients compared to other juicing methods, right? And this is why I'm sharing it with you guys, so you guys could know the best of the best. I've been making this similar style juice all during COVID in a slow juicer, whether it's an auger juicer or a twin gear juicer. I'll put a link down below to the video I made making this exact recipe in a twin gear juicer, which, if you are using a juicer, is my favorite juicer to use to make this recipe. That being said, experimenting and doing this process with a blender, vacuum blender specifically, takes it up a notch. Today I'm demonstrating the Dynapro Vacuum Blender, the new model, 2250, all new for 2021. Link down below to my unboxing video if you guys have not saw that already. And how we're going to make the juice is we're going to put the ingredients in, and then we're going to use a special nut milk bag, or juice bag is what they call it. And actually it's made by Blendtec. I've tested all kinds of nut milk bags, and this is my favorite nut milk bag by far. So that's what I'd recommend to use. It cleans up super easy. I literally take this to my backyard, take the garden hose with the high pressure sprayer, and just put my hand in here and spray it down, and like no wiping is necessary. It has like rounded corners so stuff doesn't get stuck in the corners, and it doesn't have one of those stupid strings with all the channels to get pulp stuck in there. But as you guys can see, it's stained yellow because I've been making this recipe religiously through this method, for the last month or two, as I'm evolving my method. So what I'll say to you guys, if you guys want to have the highest quality juice, don't even buy a juicer. You want to use this method in a vacuum blender. In my personal opinion, it makes a higher quality juice with even more nutrients because of two main reasons. Number one, a blender is much more efficient at turning things into a smaller particle size. That's number one. Number two is that we're doing it without oxygen, in an oxygen-deprived environment, so you're not going to get the oxidation effects on some of the vital phytonutrients that, in my personal opinion, help our bodies to heal. And the study, once again, linked down below, you guys could confirm for yourself. Now, here's the thing I will also say is that, some things you cannot easily make juice out of in the vacuum blender. This recipe is a prime example. If I was just to put these ingredients in the vacuum blender and try to blend it without a tamper, it's literally not going to work because there's so much fiber in here. So the method I use now is I will add cold pressed apple juice or other juice. You could use water or coconut water to do this process, but be aware you are now diluting your juice. I like to have pure juices, but the benefit to doing it in the vacuum blender outweighs the con of maybe adding some apple juice in there. For me, you could make your own apple juice previously using this exact same method. Of course, some items you can easily juice, like things that are higher water content. So celery, you could do 100% straight celery juice in a vacuum blender if you pre-cut the celery into small pieces and then pulse it a bunch. Fruits are probably the best thing to make juices in a vacuum blender. because it has a high water content. Just cut them small enough so that they'll get into the blade. On the other hand, carrots would be a bad item. It wouldn't really work because it has too much fiber. So you'd actually have to use like some apple juice to get the carrots to blend up and then use this extraction method. So that's pretty much what I want to show you guys. I'm using the Dynapro Vacuum Blender today to do this process. And the main reason why this works easily in the Dynapro, two reasons. Number one is this has a nice wide fat carafe, so things tend to drop down into the blade and get hit. If you guys have a traditional Vitamix with a long skinny carafe, that's like the worst kind of carafe to do this task in. You need a nice wide fat carafe, number one. And the other reason why I'm using this machine today is because this actually has a sharper blade than other vacuum blenders I have tested. When it first came out, it had a duller blade than other blenders I've tested, but then I commented to TriBest and they improved the blade. So if you have the clear carafe on your Dynapro, that has the improved sharpened blade. In addition, I like the Dynapro because it has a 15-year warranty on the entire unit, which is the longest warranty in the industry for any vacuum blender that I am aware about. Most vacuum blenders might have a 1-year warranty, you know, and they're a lot shorter. So this is totally the longest. So literally this is like a one-time investment. You buy this once and you're going to have it for the next 15 years guaranteed to work. The other thing is that this new model has an upgraded motor that is made in Sweden. I will tell you guys honestly, I did have some issues with a previous generation version where I had the motor kind of like mess up on me a few times and I had to like send it in and get it repaired under warranty, which TriBest did without any issues. You know, I haven't used this machine too much. I made a demo with it the other day, link down below for that. And this is the next thing I'm going to do in it because this is a very hard job blending all these basically mostly root vegetables and even rosemary up. So to share with you guys my exact recipe, and my exact recipe is, I don't have an exact recipe because every time I make this recipe I use approximately the same amounts, but I just eyeball it. So it's like if I have more ginger that week, I might use more ginger than turmeric, but my goal is to get more turmeric in me than ginger. And of course, sometimes I won't have the ginseng. This is available, fresh ginseng. You know, I get it at the local Asian market, the Ranch 99 market here in town. Now, the other reason why I want to make the juice in this way is because this gets a highest extraction of the nutrients as well as a very dry pulp. One of the times I made it in this fashion, I put the pulp actually into the pure juicer to press out the pulp to see how much extra juice I would get. And honestly, I made about, I squeezed out with my hands, like you'll see in a minute with the bag, 8 ounces of juice. I then put the pulp that came out of the bag after I pressed it and squeezed it into the pure juicer, and it made 0.5 or half of an ounce extra. So to me, that is not worth simply wasting your time. And this will actually allow you to not have to buy a $2,300 pure juicer to use the press when you are breaking down the fibers this small under vacuum and actually get a higher quality juice. So I look forward to using this technique, comparing it to the pure. Of course, this technique will take you a lot longer because you're hand squeezing, but the flip side is you're going to get some nice finger exercises to increase your grip strength, which may be really important if you like rock climb. All right. Oh, so I wanted to go over the recipe. So the recipe is 170 grams of ginger, 464 grams of turmeric, 52 grams of rosemary. This is basically just rosemary I picked off my bush in my yard, and I picked like 15 of these stems like this. Rosemary is a very powerful antioxidant. This is my own creation, my own recipe. And then I have 120 grams of fresh ginseng. And then I have 155 grams of Meyer lemon. Now, Meyer lemons are not always available. My goal is to get lemons with the nice fattest and most amount of pith. The lemons contain pectin, so you know, this may gel up if you don't do it under vacuum, like I've noticed. Or actually, even if you do it under vacuum, it may gel up and kind of solidify in the fridge, doing it in this process. Now, the other thing I will say is that some of these ingredients are expensive. The ginseng is like $40 a pound. The turmeric, I mean, usually if you try to buy organic turmeric, it's $15 to $20 a pound. So doing it in this method, you will you will retain the most amount of nutrients for your dollars, as well as get the most yield out of your dollars. And in addition, after I squeeze it out once, I take the pulp, put it back into the blender with some coconut water, re-blend it, it extracts more, and then I repress it out again. So I get a second pressing, and I'll even do a third pressing, and I've determined after the third pressing, there's not much left of nutrients in that final pressing, so I won't even do a fourth pressing. But you could if you wanted, if you're really into it. And then I drink those in stages. Sometimes when I want a lighter juice, I could have the second pressing or the third pressing. If friends come over, they usually get the third pressing because the first pressing is just way too strong for them. But I'm used to it. I will also show you guys actually how I preserve this and even up it a notch to make it the best way to ingest turmeric, ginger, and ginseng and rosemary, in my personal opinion, due to the synergistic effects, plus I'm making it under vacuum, plus I'm going to be stored under vacuum, plus, into the recipe I'm actually adding the black pepper as well as some fat to increase the, optimization of some of the different properties in the foods I'll be processing. So that's enough talking, let's go ahead and make this recipe. So pretty much, first thing is we're going to go ahead and take off the blender top, and we're going to go ahead and put in the apple juice. You could, once again, you could use any other kind of juice. I got some Numa, when I was traveling, turmeric shots. They were using orange juice, so you could easily use an orange juice. 900 milliliters is what I use there. Next, we're going to go ahead and load in the lemon. We want to put the more watery ingredients in first. I guess the lemon is floating. And then we're going to go ahead and put the rosemary in. So, I don't want to put whole sprigs of rosemary. We're just going to maybe, chop it in half to get it to go in there. So it's going to maybe blend a little bit easier. Alright, once we got all the rosemary in there, then we're going to go ahead and put the ginseng. Maybe we'll crack these guys in half. And these are Wisconsin-grown ginseng. I have a video making pure ginseng juice. Link down below if I remember to that. I like to use ginseng. Adds a lot of nutrition to my juices, if you can find it, or you can order it actually online. Alright, last piece of ginseng going in, just cracking it up, making it a little bit smaller. Alright, the rest I'm going to go ahead and now put in the turmeric. So we're just putting in and dumping in all the turmeric at once. I guess we could just dump the rest of this in. This is basically just the turmeric, and then on the top is the ginger. So once we got all the ginger in there, you can't forget the most important ingredient to activate your turmeric. It's black pepper. So I just got a world's finest black pepper from Cambodia. It's Kampot black pepper. So what I do is I just take a bunch and I just dump them in there. So they get blended up in with the turmeric. Then we're going to go ahead and put the lid on, and we're going to go ahead and now use the vacuum pump that will automatically suck out the excess oxygen. We're just put it on the top and press the button. And what's going to happen now is the excess oxygen from the top of the carafe where the airspace is being pulled out. In addition, you may see this bubble because it's actually pulling out some of the oxygen that's actually in between in the lemon, for example. So it's very important to blend without the oxygen. It will preserve more nutrients, and you'll get some benefits from doing this. Number one, if you have not blended without the oxygen, you may get gas and bloating and belching when drinking smoothies or other things that are blended, because it's actually adding oxygen. Have you ever noticed you blend when you start with this much, and then you blend and then you have this much when you're done? It's added a lot of extra air in there. In addition, the air will cause a separation and you won't have as good of a texture. This is important if you're a chef. In addition, because you're blending with the oxygen normally, it lowers the flavor and taste sensations that you're getting, because the flavors are some of the phytonutrients that you're tasting. So if you're doing it in this method, you're going to get the best flavor, the most flavor profiles, the strongest flavor. And in this recipe, it's very important because I want to preserve the most phytonutrients that have the flavor. Of course, today I am using the Hawaiian red turmeric. That is a lot more mild than, say, like the Indian turmeric that's more commonly available. I ordered this direct actually from Hawaii. And of course, for me, the biggest benefit of vacuum blending is the increase in phytonutrients, specifically the antioxidants and polyphenols. In the study, they show up to 3 times more different polyphenols and antioxidant vitamins in vacuum blended mixtures. So it's like all these years you've been using a traditional blender and losing 2 to 3 times more nutrients. It's like if you buy, a juice. You buy a juice and then you dump out 1/3 of it and you only drink 1/3. It's like that you're losing nutrients by blending. People do not understand this until you've done it, until you taste the difference. Then you're going to be a convert like I am and like my friends are that didn't want to believe me. So once the vacuum pump turns off, you go ahead and then remove it. And now we are all ready to blend. So the cool thing about this is it has an auto pulse feature. So we're going to probably hit the pulse button like 4 times and just let it pulse and blend at the same time. This is probably the best way to blend this mixture so that it's not under constant load to overheat the motor, as well as the constant blend pulse and off will help draw the mixture into the blades. So you just hit the pulse button 4 times and it'll run for 2 minutes. Alright, so I wanted to stop it right there. Actually, it's been running for about a minute, and I basically determined that if you run it for a minute pulsing, then it doesn't get the cavation. And once you got to a nice mixture, then you could go ahead and just hit the blend button like 3 times. Alright, so this worked without issue. It's a little bit loud actually. My ears are just like tripping out. So the plan is hit the pulse button twice, then hit the blend button 3 times. And then actually that got to this consistency, worked fine. This blender did not shut off or overheat or anything. Although I will let you guys know, this is the second time I'm using this machine and I do smell like the new motor smell that is common with new appliances. The motor will kind of have this like burn-in period. So it'll smell a little bit, but should be alright. So we're going to go ahead and take this off. Like if I did this job in the previous Dynapro, it would have basically cut off on me because of the automatic overheat protection thing or something. So now what we're going to do is, we got a nice vacuum on this. We're going to go ahead and let the vacuum out. So we're going to pull this little plug, so I want you guys to listen carefully. Alright, so that's the air rushing back into the container. We're going to go ahead now and lift off the lid. We're going to go ahead and take our nut milk or juice bag and put it over a 8 cup or 2 quart Anchor Hawking measuring cup glass, available at like your local big box store. And I like that this Blend Tech nut milk bag basically was designed literally right for this exact container. So it just like fits over it, and most other nut milk bags won't do this because they're too small. So this makes it a lot easier to use. Alright, once you have the bag in there, then you're going to go ahead and pour this mixture out. I do not recommend pouring it all out at once. Maybe do it in like 2 batches. It'll be a little bit more efficient that way. So maybe we'll pour like maybe about half of it out right now, and then we'll do the other half in a minute. This way you could get better leverage and squeezing action than if you pour too much in at once. As you guys can see, the liquid is already dripping out of this. So what we're going to do is carefully just, literally squeeze this and milk it. And all the juice will relatively easily flow through the nut milk bag. Alright, so I'm just about done squeezing this out, wringing it out. It's going pretty easily. It gets to a point of diminishing returns. And we're going to go ahead and now basically shake this out a little bit. We're going to loosen up the pulp in there. And I want to show you guys actually what we pressed out here. So what's left in here, and I like to maybe flick the bag a little bit to get all the little small remnant pieces out. So you guys can see, that's the pulp. It's actually rather dry. You're not going to squeeze this and really get much out of it at this point. You could dehydrate it and put in a little supplements if you wanted to. I'm going to actually reblend it with coconut water in a minute, probably off camera. Then we're going to go ahead and pour our juice out to see how much we pressed in one pressing. And we pressed out approximately 20 ounces in one pressing. Once again, to remind you guys, we put about 900 milliliters of the apple juice in when we first, you know, put together a recipe. So let's go ahead and squeeze out the last half to maybe assist in getting all the good stuff out. We got a little spatula here that I will use. I will let you guys know that this will stain everything yellow. That's why my nut milk bag is yellow. Your blender carafe will turn yellow. To defeat this or get it off, what you want to do is you want to wash it immediately with hot water and soap, very important, and scrub it down. I like to use a dish brush. The other thing you could do if you want to really have it work a little bit better, rinse it out first and then put soap in here and hot water. Leave it in the sun outside. The UV in the light will photo degrade the turmeric, and this is one of the reasons why once you make this, you don't want to keep this in the light. Alright, so there we go. We got the rest of this mixture coming out. This carafe is fairly easy to scoop out because it is nice and you know, fat, although this is a 4-star blade, so it's not the easiest thing to get exactly underneath the blade, but that's alright because I'll be reblending in here in a second, and even if I don't get everything out, it'll just get reblended for the next batch. Now let's go ahead and squeeze this out again and see how much liquid we extract. Alright, I'm just about done wringing this out. And at some point you barely get a few drops and it's not really worth it. To squeeze it out, maybe especially if you don't have a strong grip strength, but this will improve your grip strength if you juice like this every day. Alright. Once again, let's go ahead and shake this bag down and see what we got. Alright, so you guys can see all this pulp here. It's, you know, I'm not squeezing anything out of this. It's totally dry because it's literally been squeezed out. The other thing is that this is a very fine consistency. There is no juicer that I've ever come across in my life, I don't care how much you spend, that'll get the pulp this fine and release as many nutrients as a blender would. But very important, once again, you got to do it under vacuum. If you don't do it under vacuum, you lose more nutrients in most cases than even a slow juicer would. Alright, so let's go ahead and pour the rest of this juice out to see how much in one batch we made. So now we're up to 1,000. This is like approximately 400 milliliters. So literally everything we put in there, we extracted about 500 more milliliters of liquid, and then of course the rest is fiber. As I said, I'm going to go ahead and now put this back in the blender with additional coconut water, blend it on up, and then repress it out for the second pressing. I'll do that off camera to save you guys some time, since you guys don't like my long videos. You guys just saw the process I did. But now the most important part of the process is to show you guys how to save this if you've made so much. You know, I'll drink approximately 8 ounces a day, so I have these 8-ounce wide mouth mason jars that I will now line up and fill up and save under vacuum. Very important, and you want to keep them cold. I keep them in my fridge. It's about 35 degrees this time of year. So we have 6 little 8-ounce mason jars. Now the most important part that you want to do now is you want to go ahead and spike it. So what I spike it with is I use some oil, and I use a C8 MCT oil from Kiss My Keto. We just put 1 pump in each little mason jar, which adds a little bit of oil, but this also ensures that the fat soluble vitamins in the turmeric will be better absorbed, as well as probably the curcumin will also be better absorbed by adding a little fat. And as you guys know, we added the turmeric or the black pepper in our previous. So this is a really nice smooth texture, and we don't fill it completely to the top, but almost all the way up. You won't get a smoother juice than this in any juicer, or better tasting juice for that matter, because it hasn't been oxidized during the juicing process. So this means this also stores longer, all else being equal. But in addition, I am storing this under vacuum without the oxygen, so it will actually store the longest. I will store these up to like a week usually. And I'll see a difference in the color after a week because it will oxidize. I'm not saying that it won't oxidize, but it oxidizes significantly less. The thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour one more out, and this is the one I'm drinking right now. About the same amount because this is what I drink on a daily basis, about 8 ounces or so. And let me go ahead and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. Oh, feel the burn. Man, you don't like medicinal stuff? You're not going to like this one. This time, every time I do it is different because the turmeric I get from different farms that's organic. Most of the time, last time I used like turmeric from Florida. And then this time it's turmeric from Hawaii. This turmeric from Hawaii is a lot more stronger tasting. Tastes highly medicinal. I mean, I'm good with it. So you might want to dilute it down and not use my exact same recipe if you're not too hardcore. The other thing I want you guys to be aware of is that this recipe, if you make it and drink it like I'm making it, I can't say how your body's going to react to it. I've been doing this recipe for like the last year, literally, and even stronger than this sometimes because I used to not dilute it with the apple juice because I didn't need to. This is strong, so be mindful. If it is too strong for you, add extra apple juice or water even, and or use less of the ingredients. Don't use my exact same recipe, like half the amount of the ingredients, to kind of get yourself used to it if you're not already. So anyways, next thing I want to go ahead and show you guys how to store these juices. Very important aspect. You want to go and get these Soligit lids. It's Soligit lids, and they're for vacuum sealing storage on mason jars. You're going to go ahead and put it on top of each of these mason jars. You've got to make sure you have the proper side up. The side where the writing goes is up, and the side without the writing goes down. You want to make sure they're completely centered on each mason jar. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take that TriBest vacuum pump, and this will basically, you can put it on here, press the button, and now it's sucking all the excess oxygen out of the airspace, and actually it turned itself off automatically because it senses when it comes to the fullest vacuum, unlike other pumps that are dumb pumps and just kind of run for a preset amount of time. So we got full vacuum on that. That happened very quickly. Next one. Because we made this in an oxygen-deprived environment, we don't have to suck out extra oxygen out of the liquid. If I did a standard juice, even in a slow juicer, you know, and use a powerful vacuum pump, it would actually pull extra dissolved oxygen out of the mixture. In this case, it's not having to do that because we blended in an oxygen-deprived environment. So as you guys can see, this is going very quickly and easily to suck out the extra oxygen out of each of these ginger turmeric shots that I'll be drinking in the upcoming week. We got a vacuum pulled on all these guys. I basically just stack them by threes, and then they just basically go in my fridge and I drink them one at a time. So that's it. Now you've learned how to make the most nutritious juice on the entire planet, whether you're going to juice your turmeric, ginger, root juices like I do, or you could even do the same recipe and substitute carrots instead, or use other produce items in the blender, provided you have enough liquid. If the item is too, contains too much fiber, right? Otherwise, things like fruits and celery, you could pretty much just chop up the celery and put in the fruits because they have such a high water content, it's a low fiber content, and they will basically blend up without additional liquid, and then squeeze it through your BlendTech nut milk bag to make the most nutritious juice that you never learned about, that you learned here first on my channel. You know, it's been one of my goals in life to always improve what I'm doing, up my game, and I'm glad now with the vacuum blending technology, Dynapro from TriBest, as well as the BlendTech nut milk bag, you guys are able to make the highest quality juice that you've never tasted. I would encourage you guys, if you guys are serious about your health, wanting to heal, wanting to lose weight, to do things in the best way possible. That being said, this is a little bit of work to blend everything up and then wring it out. It is a process, and if you don't have a lot of time, maybe just stick to a slow juicer. But if you're like me, have a little bit more time in your life and want to get the highest level of phytonutrients in you because you understand their value, then you want to take the time to do it right and do this exact process as I've shared with you guys today. Now, if you guys enjoyed this episode, I would encourage you guys to support me and my work, and you could do this by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Link is down below to the Dynapro Vacuum Blender that I've used today. This comes in the red color, which I got, which I think looks really cool. It also comes in a silver color. Once again, it has a full 15-year warranty. Your support and your purchase from me allows me to continue to make my videos. And if you guys didn't support me, I wouldn't be able to bring you guys all the latest advances in technology and what I'm learning to enhance your guys' life. So I appreciate you guys a lot, and I want to thank you guys in advance who will support me, and I want to thank you guys for those of you guys that have supported me in the past, so I can continue to live my mission of educating people in the world about eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, and more importantly, unlike anybody else on the planet, to eat them and preserve them in the best ways possible so that you get the maximum amount of phytonutrients into you, so you guys have the best chance of healing, in my personal opinion. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else that thinks they're juicing the best way possible. Maybe they're using a fast juicer, which in my opinion is the worst. Well, the worst way is to use a traditional blender without a juicer, then probably after that is a high-speed juicer. But send them this video and they could, get knocked out on how to make the highest quality juice, on the planet, in my personal opinion. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes that I've coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where sharp or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. You never know what new appliance I'll be sharing with you guys, or what new tip or trick I'll be sharing with you guys. I have a future video coming up on how to clean your juicer non-toxic, or even blender if it gets stained. The best non-toxic way. I've been experimenting with some different methods to do that, so I'm going to have an upcoming video on that, so you don't want to miss that one, because that's a request I get a lot. I'll probably have another video upcoming on the best juicer for juice fasting. If you're drinking a lot of juice a day, that's an upcoming video as well. So make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 600 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to comparing and contrasting all the different appliances that allow you to maximize your phytonutrient consumption of the phytonutrients in fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Once again, links are down below to the video on the Dynapro and some of the other ones that I mentioned in this video. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.